All right, hello everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for letting all of us taking a break yesterday, but we are back for the finales of season three, Lit in English, or Understanding Your Inner Self, Materialize Happiness. Welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us on this journey. We are getting toward the end, and I'm hoping that all of us had gained great understanding of the four principle and the two semantic reference system that we have just gone over. And today we are going to the final, the last one of the three semantic reference system, and that is the human structure. And I am super excited. This is going to mark the completion of the three semantic reference system, and I am very happy about it because with the four principle and the three semantic reference system, we um, we have most, if not all, of the important information that we can introduce to all of our English-speaking friends, and they can use this tool and knowledge to truly building a better life. Really have the tool to understand the inner self and create happiness or generate happiness, getting that uh, favorable transformation. And we are able to do that thanks to all of it here doing this together. So once again, I would like to thank you very much for joining us, especially Vanessa. I know you live in Germany and it is like 2 a.m. there, but you are still here with us. I really appreciate it. It's only mean that you value this amazing knowledge, and in turn, I'm sure you will have a greater understanding of this. All right. So let me make sure that I have this recording and let's get to it before we get to the human structure, which is one of my very uh, best one that I have learned. Let's go back a little bit to the previous episode, the triangle of reality. So just a quick touch on the triangle of reality. The triangle of reality is one of the three semantic reference systems. And when we are talking about the semantic reference system, those are the three tools that can help us get to the very root of anything, of any topic, anything that you can think of in our reality. And using the three semantic reference system, it helped us kind of like being more proactive when it's come to that topic or that field. For example, I don't know if you, well, I'm sure you remember that on our second day we learned about the principle of light, and in that on that day we learned something very important. That is, if we were to simplify all problem in life, we will be able to put them in four main category, and those are inner self, health, relationship, and finance. And the three semantic reference system will help us be in more proactive prior to the problem showing up, because we are already ready. And the triangle of reality tell us that for any reality in life, there are two corner of it. There are the information, there's energy, and there are material. And Albert Einstein, the famous scientist, was one of the very first people who brought this into to our attention, as in the world. He said that everything that exists in this world, it holds certain information. So what do we know of the information will have great influence on the reality of that thing on our view. What kind of energy we believe in that reality had direct influence on our reality of that thing, or what kind of understanding do we have on that material determine our reality on that. And just to make it a little bit easier to understand, I always have my little gold coin here. And the reason that we can recognize that this is a gold coin because of its color, because of its shine, and because of the energy that we are receiving from this gold coin. And there are more information on it. On this gold coin, it say that the United States of America, the White House. So there's also some information on it, which make this coin very distinct from other coin. And this is the example of just the coin, but you can also use other example like your chair, the chair that you are sitting on, or the table that you are using. And the amazing thing about the triangle of reality is that it tell us that we only need to know three main information to truly understand the reality of something. Therefore, it is very similar to the lit house. Rather than looking at life full of problem and we don't know how to start, we don't know how to get ready for those problems, we simplified it to the simplest level possible so that we can realize that, you know what, even though there's a lot of problem out there, but if I can just work on my inner self, if I can just work on my health, my relationship, and my finance, I will be able to solve everything, because everything simplified down to only four categories. That is my inner self, my health, my relationship, and my finance. Similarly, what the triangle of reality tell us is that there's only three things that we really need to understand in order to know a reality, and that is their information, their energy, and their material. And what even more important for this triangle of the reality is the knowing, believing, and understanding. Because the knowing, believing, and understanding will help us understand the immaterial group of reality. And this can help us grasp the understanding of how well we understand something. For example, let's talk about, let's use this gold coin for example, since it is already here. Like, what do you know about this gold coin? What kind of information do you know? But even when you know that information, do you even believe it? Do you really believe that this is a gold coin? Okay, because you only see it. You don't know if it is like a solid gold or if it's only like a coating. You probably don't know where this coming from, where it was purchased, and what do you understanding about it? So there are actually three level of understanding, which we truly need to know before we can say that we fully understood of that things or that reality. And what I shared yesterday or 2 days ago, when we first introduced the triangle of reality, I shared the story of how scientists was able to turn lead into gold. And that is extremely important, because in order to make that transformation from lead into gold, the scientists had to know exactly the information of what lead is. They have to know exactly what the energy of lead is. And they have to know exactly what the material of lead is. And similarly, they do the same thing for gold. But let me switch the word, because what I said earlier is knowing. Knowing is like a level lower than understanding. when you understand something, you've truly understood it in and out. You know everything about it. Knowing it just kind of like, for example, let's say you have like a best friend. That best friend is very different from someone that you just know at work, for example, or if you are still in school, you might know someone, as in like they are in your class, but you don't understand them. You don't understand what their personality is, or what their background, what do they like, what do they don't like, what they are good at, what they are not good at. So there is level to knowing and understanding, and there's also a level in between, which is believing. But I don't want to go into too deep with that. And even for lit in English, even though we has been through 3 seasons, but what we wanted to, even though we want people to understand all of this principle, all of this semantic reference system, but it is important for us to introduce it to the viewer first, to someone who have never heard of this information before, so that they can utilize it. Therefore, understanding the difference between knowing, believe, and understanding, it is simpler for us to take our time to truly knowing something about the information, and start believing the energy of that information, and we can materialize that reality, because then that is when we have deep understanding of it. Therefore, when scientists turn lead into gold, they have to went through a whole bunch of process as well. It wasn't happen overnight. They have to did a lot of research study. They have to run a lot of experiences, and even when they achieve it, the amount of energy needed in order to turn lead into gold was too high. It was too expensive. Therefore, they didn't want to use that process to make money off from turning lead into gold. However, through that experience, the scientist has proven something extremely, extremely important, because if if the scientist can turn lead into gold, that also means that as a person, we can gain a certain level of success if we truly know the information, if we truly believe in the energy, if we truly understanding the material of it. And if we were to look around us, if we were to look at success story, somewhere out there, we're probably going to be able to find someone who have similar background to us, but they had the transformation and they was able to materialize our dream, whether that dream is in having a better understanding of your inner self, or better health, or better relationship, or better finance. Like myself personally, I have some experience with like having a better health. I also have the privilege to understanding myself better, and I learned that from others who have been through that process, and through the triangle of reality, they was able to share that with me. And in the previous episode, using the triangle of reality, we was able to went in deep of analyzing how success would look like for an average person, for a normal person. And if you haven't seen this presentation, I would highly recommend to go to our YouTube channel to check it out, because it is extremely, extremely important, because it's helped lay out that in order to have that growth, in order to have that success, 80% of it is from people development, from the energy and the information, and only 20% of it is professional development, as in development in your profession. And using that information, we was able to analyze even further the importance of the 7 holistic wealth and how to gain a holistic life. And from the triangle of reality, we learned something extremely important. That is the necessarily of the very last semantic reference system, which is the human structure, which is at the energy level of the triangle of reality. And energy is what needed to turn lead into gold. Energy is something that is very, very valuable that we have to have in order to make that transformation. And it applies for everything. If you want to have a better health, you need energy to make that transformation from, let's say, an overweight body into a fit and strong body. If you want to have a better relationship, you need energy. You need some sort of energy to attract people, to gain trust, love, and relationship with people. And it is the same goal for financial success. In order to make the transformation from an average person who work 9 to 5 and make that transformation to becoming a millionaire, it takes energy as well. Just like the one example that I gave in the Millionaire Mindset book, the author said that in order to make $1 million, you have to become a millionaire first, and that takes process, that takes energy. What about the story of Mr. Roger Bannister, who ran 1 mile under 4 minutes? It takes energy as well. It takes that transformation. It took him some time to get to his goal. And the same thing goes for the story of Mr. Donald Trump, where he lost all of his money. And even though it was very, very impressive that he was able to make $3 billion back within 3 years, that takes time too. And that takes energy too. And it doesn't happen by chance. There is a science behind it, and there is a semantic reference system that we can use in order to materialize our wishes and our goal. And that, my friends, will take us to the very last semantic reference system, and that is the human structure. And in the next 45 minutes, I will do my best to fit in as much information as we can, because it does have a ton of information. However, it is a very good practice to draw along, because this is the foundation that we simply cannot skip. So this is a great time to get a piece of paper, get some pen and pencil, and we are going to draw the human structure. All right, let's do it. I would like to invite you to draw at the bottom here. Let's write number 3. And this is the human structure. All right, the human structure is started out at the very center, and in the center, let's write the word essence. It is the essence of ourself, of our humanity. So let's go ahead and do that. Write the word essence. And let's take us back to the root formula very quickly. If you can remember the foreword right underneath the images, that is hearing, seeing, saying, and knowing. These are very, very important. And those are surrounding our essence as well. And those are hearing, seeing, then saying, and knowing. And it's surrounded by a radiant energy. Right. So these are not just any tied up hearing, seeing, saying, or knowing. They are the essential hearing, essential seeing, essential saying, and essential knowing. And if you can recall back to my story about Mr. Elon Musk back in the root formula, during in the interview, Mr. Elon Musk was asked a question by a fan, and his fan say that, you know what, Elon, I am the biggest fan. I am a huge admirer. I want to be just like you. What can I do to be like you? And in response to that question, Mr. Elon Musk said that, you know what, you don't want to be me. You don't want to be me. And Elon Musk kept repeating that. And then Elon Musk said that you don't want to be me because idea it just keep coming to me, and I couldn't turn it off. And I know that I don't have time to do all of it, and I have to pick and choose. But the information just wouldn't stop coming, and those are the information that was believed to help him accomplishing many of his successful businesses. And those can be viewed as essential hearing, essential seeing, essential saying, and essential knowing. And again, today we're gonna lean in more toward the information part of the triangle of the reality. We try and get more toward the knowing. And if you can recall back to the circle of knowledge, the third principle of this season, we're going to hit a lot of the don't know circle of knowledge. Therefore, it is okay if you don't get it right away. But trust me, this is extremely important, and it will be very, very much worth it after we given it time to get to know it. All right, let's move on for the next part. It will be the next circle are from the radiant energy. That will be admission, imagination, then action, and conscience. Right. Admission is when you receive an information or you take in something. Therefore, it will be the it's kind of like an act of just taking in information. Imagination is something that we humans are very, very good at because whatever you can see in your mind is what you're gonna have in your hand. Through imagination, we are able to come up with things. We are able to come up with plan, and that what help us have the superiority to other animals. But at the same time, imagination is something that kind of get us away from reality, and because of the imagination, it causes us to really, really activate the emotion of humans with have a whole nother causal and effect that we're going to explain in a little bit. Action is pretty much just an action. So it's kind of like you take in information, you analyze the information, and then you take action. Conscience is kind of like information, like your conscience, the information that in you, and you have a very deep connection with those information, and it can also be viewed as knowledge. And these are very close to the essential hearing, a sense of seeing, a sense of saying, and a sense of knowing. And using the example of Elon Musk, what he was saying is that he constantly had the essential hearing, a sense of seeing, a sense of saying, and a sense of knowing. And because of this, he take in information through admission, and he was able to have an imagination. He imagined how he can materialize the idea, and he take action. And through the action, he generating experiences, he generating knowledge. And the Elon Musk that we know today is obviously very different from the Elon Musk of 20, 30 years ago. So it is a process to have a mission, imagination, action, and conscience through a sense of hearing, a sense of seeing, a sense of saying, and a sense of knowing. And then another layer after the admission, imagination, action, and conscience. So those are the shun. The next layer would be prosperity. Prosperity. And if you are Asian, you will hear this word a lot during New Year's because usually people would wish for prosperity. What about beauty? We all want to be beautiful, right? And there is a study, and they found out that after asking a whole bunch of people, they realized that people are scared of being ugly than scared of death. And some people they'd rather die than being ugly. So beauty is something that is very, very important in the human world, in the human character. What about fame? Being famous, that is something that very desirable in our humanity character. What about luxurious? What about this kind of like food? Uh, like we want to eat good. We want to drink delicious drink, and it's kind of built in our survival instinct. Therefore, for this layer, it it is extremely important to us. And what about resting? after a lot of activity, we would like to rest, right? Some people just want to relax and behind a person who doesn't have to do much are many people who have to work hard in order for that person to have the opportunity to just lay down and rest. And this five element is the second part that's surrounding the mission, imagination, and action. And this is what govern the desire of humanity with cautious the operation of the way we think, the way we do things. This is the motivation through prosperity, through beauty, through fame, through luxuries, and through rest. And that all of these are from the desire that we have. And the big part of it is called greed. So greed and imagination is the two major elements that shape our personality, that motivate us to do anything. And this is the main idea, the key what's it called, like principle kind of human is kind. This is what operating inside of a person and also in society through greed and through imagination, because sometimes we have the greed, or we have the craving. Another word for it is craving. Is that even though, because this is what we try to translate from Vietnamese to English, therefore we have to use like multiple words to get to like the bottom of this, you know. So greed is something that like motivate us, but at the same time, it's also like our craving. We craving for something. As a human, we craving for prosperity because that will help us survive. What about our craving for beauty? Because we want to be more beautiful, and that craving activated our imagination. So we have our imagination about prosperity, we have our imagination of beauty, and was all of that system is activated, is moving because of this guy right here, because of greed. And let me highlight that so that we know that this is something that is extremely critical, that moving this entire machine. And the same thing for fame, you know, we have the desire, we're craving for fame, we're craving for good food, and we're craving for good rest. Let's say going to get a massage, for example. Okay, so it's not just sleeping, it's about resting, it's about pleasuring. The same thing for luxuries. It's not just about eating, it's about eating good food. So greed, extremely important element of all of this. And then anger is also the one that activating and moving this machine. And there are seven of them. And when I say seven and you see greed and anger, you might think of the seven deadly sins, but this is very different from that. So I just want to mention right off the bat that these are very different. It's might hold similar value, but they are very different. What about delusion? So delusion is different from imagination, because imagination, you can imagine something and it might come true. The illusion is kind of like I'm gonna explain it later because I'm gonna need other word to explain it. But it's very different from imagination. It's more like the way that you judging something. You have a delusion. It's like the illusion of being delusional. So it's kind of like not aligned with reality. And then the one after that is arrogant. Arrogant. And then skeptic. Skeptic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have two more. And they will be evil. And then bias. And if we are connecting the dot between this 7 element, it is another layer. And these are season 3 of Lit in English, Understanding Your Inner Self. And in the past 10 days, we didn't really talk much about inner self. Those are the introduction to the inner self. And even that, it show a lot of value. And this right here, it held an even more value to it. So greed, anger, delusion, arrogance, skeptic, evil, bias. These are what moving the human inner self, and it has great influences on our life. And we're gonna go deeper into the description of what these are. And like I say, today is gonna be mainly introducing this information. Tomorrow, which is the last day of Lit in English season 3, it's gonna be like a finales. These are the pre-finales, and we would dive in deep. We would dive in detail of why the human structure is so important. And I'm gonna give you one just kind of like a hint, kind of like a trailer. The reason that the human is very, very important is because if we look in life, right, everything that we have, everything that we desire, it is made possible by people. It's like the computer that I am using right now, it was made by people. The equipment that I use, even the food that I eat, is from the people bring it to me. The clothes that I wear, even the life that I have right here, it is from my parent. The personality that I have, some people might argue that it is greatly influenced by the way that I was brought up, by the people around me. And in our entire life, I think it is very reasonable to say that it is the people who shape the human world. And it is extremely important to learn about the human structure so that we can have a greater understanding of why are we here, what are we supposed to do, and how can we have contribute to the world, or in a smaller scale, how can we better our life? How can we live the life that we desire? The human structure is what held the answer. Okay, so it's just a quick recap on what we have written down so far. So deep within the human structure, we have essence, and in surrounding this essence, we have essential hearing, essential seeing, essential saying, essential knowing, and it's surrounded by radiant energy. So it's kind of like light. And surrounding the radiant energy, we have the kind of like a circle of mission, imagination, action, conscience. And then we have the second outer layer, that is prosperity, beauty, fame, luxury, and rest. And then the outer mode, we have greed, anger, delusion, arrogance, skeptic, and evil. And those characters are surrounded by the an energy, and we call it. I have written it down here. We call it a kind of like a vibrational energy of yin yang. So it's like negative and positive. And let's use the red color pen for the positive energy. Right. And then let's use the blue color representing for the negative energy. All right. And just outside of this, let's get a brown pen and draw some circle. And this is the representation of some sort of bubble. And these are called the 84,000 cognitive bubble. 84,000 cognitive. Right. And we are going to connecting this and showing that these are the 84,000 cognitive bubble. And there's a lot of description for why is it called 84,000 of cognitive bubble. But the short answer to it is that you can view it as in like how every day, every 24 hours, we had thousands and thousands of thought going through our mind. And we might not be becoming aware of all of it. And those are very close to the amount of 84,000 cognitive bubble. And I see Min Hung say that I cannot see all the word. Let me turn off one of the light here, or turn it down rather. Yeah, I think that might be a little bit better. Let me see if I can zoom it down a little bit for you. All right. Okay. But yeah, I will take a picture of this toward the end of the presentation, and I will send it to our group as well. But thanks for letting me know. All right, so the 84,000 of a cognitive bubble, there are more meaning to it. Some people even say that we have like 84,000 hair on our body, and 84, there's the other stuff, but this is like 84,000 cognitive bubble. So it is kind of like our imagination through greed, and through imagination, we might have like 84,000 different view that we might have in life. And above the next layer, the outer layer of the 84,000 cognitive bubble, and that would be the elemental cell, as in our body. So let me go ahead and write that down. The elemental self. And the elemental cell contain 4 things, and that would be earth, and then water, and then fire, and then air. And let's connect that with the elemental self. All of this are surrounded by another layer of the vibrational energy of yin and yang. So let us go ahead and draw one last thing. All right, so I present to you the human structure. And thanks Min Hung Go for writing the elemental cell, which contains the 4 elements. So when I first look at this is very, very confusing to me because I have never ever seen this before. I have heard of it before. I have heard of something like prosperity, beauty, fame, luxury, and rest. Those are the things that I'm actually very familiar with because in my life, I have the desire of the thing as well. Therefore, it was easy for me to understand prosperity, beauty, fame, luxury, and rest. At the same time, growing up, when I observed the society, I also realized that there is something kind of like not good about it because of greed, because I can see anger, I can see some delusion, arrogant of people, skeptic and evil. And I felt like those are the counterpart of prosperity, beauty, fame, luxury, and rest. But those kind of like going together. And as far as admission, imagination, action, and conscience, I kind of like don't know what it is. And that takes me back to the circle of knowledge. And you probably in the similar shoes for those who have only heard of this the first time. What about essence? What is your essence? What is a sense of hearing, a sense of seeing, a sense of saying, and a sense of knowing? Those are very strange words to me. but at the same time, when I look at it, and I'm sharing with you my experience, by the way, and hopefully you can you can learn something from it, or I can learn something from it. But when I first looked at it, it was very strange to me of how the four elemental cell were introduced, and then it's also said that we are surrounding with energy, and then toward the very inner one, we have the radiant energy. So all of this, at first, it doesn't make much sense to me. It's kind of like everywhere. But when I really, really thought of it, I found something extremely important because of the elemental cell. I noticed that, you know, in our world, I realized that there was a theory, there was a principle about everything was made up of these four elements, and that's is earth, water, fire, and air. Kind of like our body, the human body, we have earth, which are the element inside our body, kind of like our fingernail, our hair. And then for water, yes, we do have a liquid in our body. And then fire, our body is pretty warm. And then we need air to breathe in order to help us survive. So those I can understand. Those are very valuable. What hit me really hard and causes me to have a huge question mark is the vibrational energy of yin yang, of the negative charge and positive charge. And not only they have one layer, they actually have two. Prior to go into all of these human character, we have another layer of kind of like electrical energy, vibrational energy of electrical current of yin and yang, negative and positive. And then deep in here, they even talk about radiant energy. And when I look at the origin of this information, these are actually taught thousands and thousands of years ago. In fact, we don't even know how old this is. And electricity is something that I am very familiar with because I am using right now for my computer, for the light that I use right here. And the invention of energy is very recent. And it has a huge impact in our life. So why is it existing in this drawing? And then I thought about it a little bit more of the information that I know of. I wasn't very familiar with the essential hearing, seeing, saying, and knowing. I wasn't familiar with the radiant energy. I wasn't familiar with admission, imagination, action, and conscience. But the other 5 and 7, I have heard of it. But why is it in here? So I thought it was really, really strange. But then when I look toward history, and I also have a realization that throughout human history, we have a period where we don't know how to use tool. But the second that us as human learn how to use like rock as a tool, there's a huge transitioning to the human development. It was easier to survive because we have tool now. And then throughout history, we realize that we learn how to use fire. And that's helped us to cook, that helped to keep us warm. And thanks to that, human was able to expand even further. We are now able to live in colder weather. And then we learn how to use water. So have you ever seen like the little wheel that was rolling because of the water current going down from the stream and hitting that wheel, and we were able to use that force. That make another change because it's the initiation of the industrial revolution, where, and that's only happened about 400 years ago, when people learned how to use water to heat up water to get that pressure going so that they can use that energy to manipulate the energy of air, and that completely changed the revolution of human. And then the most recent one is electricity, and I thought it is so cool that we had all of that mentioning within this piece of drawing, and that caught my attention, and that made me think that there is something more to it, even though I don't know exactly where its origin is. But I realized that there is more to this than meeting the eye. And I know we are running out of time, but what I want you to ask yourself, using the transformation principle, I want you to start asking questions and contemplation about the development of our society, and how we as human have influences on each other, and how we are now living a society where we have to have each other in order to survive. And this has been recorded in books and essay and researches. And they said that, you know what, we as humans spend years, a lifetime to study nature, to study everything else. But isn't it better? Isn't it greater if we can understand why humans behave a certain way? And this single page here kind of lay out everything. If you were to just look at something that we are familiar with, the second layer from the radiant energy, and those are prosperity, or another word, your wealth, your money, and how much money you can make. And then the second word is beauty, how beautiful you are, how you look, the desire to be beautiful. What about fame? People fighting each other for fame, right? They want to be king, they want to be queen, they want to be the the best guy in the group. What about luxuries, as in like the food that you eat? Aren't we trying to have the most delicious meal ever? What about the drink that we drink? Don't we want to have like the nicest drink? And what about rest? People love to rest, right? People love to sleep. People love getting massages. So just these 5 simple words is give us the secret to fulfill a person's desire. And if you can just fulfill these 5 desires, you can gain great success, because somewhere now out there, we all desire for these 5 things. And these knowledge, the information, are what makes our presentation so amazing. Or this knowledge here is what drive us to do our very best to make sure we translate this amazing knowledge to English. Because prior to this, and I mentioned this in the beginning of our presentation, I mentioned this at the very beginning of season 3, but it is so important I have to say it again, right? Prior to this knowledge, we live life without knowing what is coming next. We worry, we have our fear of our survival. We don't know what to do. And whatever problem comes, we just have to learn how to deal with it. We just have to solve it. We have to become very reactive to it. But thanks to this amazing knowledge, we realize that if we were to simplify it, there are only four categories: the inner self, the health, the relationship, and finance. And thanks to that, we are able to be more productive. We are able to now work on our inner self, our health, our relationship, and our finance. So if we were to look at the finance part, how can we make more money? How can we do better with finance? When we look at the human structure, if we were to just focus again on the five words in green: prosperity, beauty, fame, luxury, and rest, those five hold the secret to gain great wealth, gain great finance. What about relationship? Relationship between human, it has something greatly to do with the prosperity, beauty, fame, luxury, and rest as well. And then tomorrow we're gonna go over with greed, anger, delusion, arrogance, skeptic, evil, and bias, even though they sound very, very negative, but they are not necessarily to be all negative. Because if you were to look at greed, for example, greed is kind of like mean greedy, right? But there's different angle to it, because if you are greedy for yourself, then yes, that will be called greedy. But what if you are greedy for other? Let's use my father, for example. He is very greedy in providing me love and material things. So his greed is no longer greedy. His greed become generosity to me. So there are different levels between the yin and the yang, the negative and the positive. And like you said here, if you have a question, the outermost is yin yang electrology, as in like electric of yin yang. Yes, and that is very important. And I do like the concept of yin yang a lot, by the way. And it does show here, just like the example that I gave earlier about greed. Greed can be greedy, but it can also be generous. And we see that that element existing throughout our life. It has been shown in the physical world. Because let's use Vietnam for an example. If you were to imagine, or if you can look at the Vietnam map, okay, the map of Vietnam, for northeast, you will see an island, Hainan Island, and then you see like the ocean. Maybe you look toward the west, you will see that there is a very big lake in Cambodia, and those sit perfectly on opposite end, where where the country of Vietnam, shape of an S, sitting right in the middle. Pretty amazing. And the same thing go for the US. The US, where I live right now, we have two oceans, the east side and the west side. The ocean on the east side, it is very warm, very much like Vietnam. But the one on the east side, it is so cold that we can't even swim. So there is hot current from the east and then the cold current from the west. Yin yang, there's a balance. What about the top part of the earth and the bottom? There's a balance there too. And those are called electromagnetic, but that is what something that we have to go further tomorrow. But before I end today's presentation and move on to a deeper analysis of the human structure tomorrow, I want to leave you with an idea, or I want you to ask yourself, I want you to have that questioning, that this human structure here, it is not just any simple information. These are kind of like ancient knowledge, and it has some value here, similar to the lit house. These are the information that simplified down so that we can use it to navigate. It is kind of like a map, and it deserves to be analyzed closely. And just like how what I just said earlier about prosperity, beauty, fame, luxury, and rest, just 5 words, but there are many, many applications for it. And how can we apply it? I will see you back here tomorrow. And thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I couldn't do this without you. And because of your presence here, with information that is provided like Min Hun Ngo here, I was able to have an environment to exercise this, and I feel like I understand it better. So thank you very much for that. And please coming back here tomorrow for the finales of season 3. And my wish is that we will be able to gain a deep understanding of the 3 semantic reference system, namely the human structure. All right, so let's go out with a song.